what always came out is the number one way to screw up a project is right at the very beginning when the requirements are incomplete. So I would correct that 70% to closer to 90% if you get it wrong up front.
Uh, Thank you. I think you're exactly right. I was trying to be conservative, right? But I think you're exactly right, Mike. That's where it gets off the track in a hurry. And so the fix starts here. So some of the common pitfalls again are poor stakeholder engagement and communications. The CXOs are saying I want this, or the people in the business are saying, operations people are saying I need this, and a lot of times somebody in IT may go, well, I'm booked for the next 6 months, and I know I have some friends who are running sales organizations, and if they get backed up, a lot of fun. So now, how do you have the requirements not only within your own company, but now that you're having to deal with some shadow IT functionality and processes and procedures? We did a couple of hundred projects for Microsoft, and they do have their processes and procedures that they want you to work on and to be able to handle. And they had um, applications that they wanted you to build, but they were like bronze, silver, and gold. And a gold application would be one that's going to last for years. A silver application may be a year, and a bronze application may be one that would last, let's say, a quarter. And you had a lot of those bronze applications because it would be a marketing campaign, and you would have to write specific software for a specific marketing campaign, but that was going to go away in 3 months, and you have to do it again with a different campaign with different criteria. So we found that the people in IT really didn't want anything that didn't last more than a year. So in some cases, they said, okay, if you want to go outside and get this done, we think this is probably an okay thing because we know we're not going to have to support it long term. And if you can get it done inside that framework, then by all means go do it. Now, is that the greatest approach in the world? No. Did it work for what they were trying to do? It did work, but we began to learn that the gathering the requirements and getting the right people engaged from the very beginning was absolutely crucial. And there you end up with conflicting requirements. And how do you fix that? Um, I know a lot of people will get in and they'll have a meeting, 10 people in a room, everybody trying to negotiate um, requirements, maybe negotiate what should be in an ERP system or a configured ERP system. And some of those things can take forever and ever and ever. But I think there's a lot of folks now that are moving more toward just having conversations amongst themselves and having the AI or some other tool gather the requirements automatically from everybody that's in the room concurrently. So you may have one company we had was a company that was worried about um, warranty payments because they were losing 15% of the warranty repairs and couldn't get paid for it. And it was because they weren't telling the story properly to go back to apply for those warranty payments from the company. And we found out that having 15 to 20 people talk through that at all levels of the organization made an enormous difference because somebody at the executive level can have this glorious strategy. We're going to do this and we're going to be hard hitting. And then it gets down about three levels in the organization and they go, we don't have the systems to support this. We don't have the people to support it. So your wonderful strategy is great, but bottom line is that's not going to work. So um, finding that you have more people involved is okay. Who owns the data in your company? Do you own it or are you the steward? And he looked around the room and he was like, I think I'm the steward. And it's like, okay, that's good to know. Hope you can get that solidified so we know exactly the responsibilities. So there's a lot of companies where they believe that IT owns the data. There's a lot of companies that believe the business owns the data. And then that leads to arguments on requirements when somebody says, well, we have dirty data. Well, whose responsibility is that to clean that dirty data up so we can have great AI on the back end? So that typically ends up being the business responsibility. Comments? Nope, no comments. Okay.
Lee, I got a couple of thoughts on that. I mean, I
Go ahead.
spent a lot of years trying to establish that ownership outside of IT for data stewardship, data cleanup. I mean, your data scientists are expensive, and truthfully, most of the time we bring them in because they really know data and databases and data structures, right? Because the people of the village said, no, 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 sheriff, that's not how we roll here, right? We screw stuff up on a regular basis, and your data team cleans it up for us because they're our friends. And I'm like, no, 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 new sheriff, I'll fire every single one of those guys if they make that change without any documentation, and I find out about it, they're gone. I will fire your friends if you keep exposing them that way. And they were like, oh, I guess he's serious, right? So all of a sudden, the data change request went to near zero.
Mhm.
But then I ran into the other part of that problem, which is, but I need to clean this data up in order to be able to use it for stuff. And I couldn't get the business, so I started creating. I had created data stewardship meetings, and literally what we called them, where we assigned every data field to an owner in the business unit, and said you have to be responsible for making sure that the data that goes in at capture or creation.
And that's the way they did it. It was that simple. It cost them $300 a year. And it was the cheapest thing they ever did in the company because all the salespeople had company cars. And if they got their data in and it was correct, they got to move up a level in the class of car. Simple thing, right? But pretty original. Okay, let's talk about building some of the documents. When you're trying to build these documents, yeah, you'd like to just jump in and go, okay, I have my functional specs and my technical specs and my risk and compliance and my change plans, and boy, I'm set. But all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, I'm not sure what risks I ought to be thinking about. What do you do then?
Figure out where the tie rod needs to go to make it work in the car.
No, I totally agree with that. By coming tops down, you actually put in what I call the fairly basic stuff, and you allow the people who've got the detailed understanding to put their inferences in, i.e., that's the bottoms up, and the two come together. And unless you reflect the views of people who are actually giving the bottoms up information, you make cock ups, I think.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Could not agree more. But I would throw out there that another reason why you've got a counterbalance top down with bottom up. Um, and I'll go back to something that Lee said, the sales team as being one of the great challenges in defining requirements and getting things to move forward. I think also the CEO and executive management is the big problem as well. If you look top down.
Inside, so I just completely it escaped my mind. And I've had that happen so many times, right? And but you found a requirement that was in fact foundational, but you didn't know about it because it wasn't top of mind.
Well, I think you bring up a good point, but you mentioned something about level 42. For those people who don't know it, the bottom line is that since GPT-5 launched, it now has an ability to set